All right, guys, the time has come. And as you know, over the last couple of weeks, I have been a little bit critical of the business planning for 2024, but I'm going to talk to you about some next level business planning strategies and some things that have helped me that I've learned recently and what I'm doing in my business to absolutely crush 2024, regardless of what the market does. So stay tuned. What's up, guys? Jeremy Kane, Real Estate Agent Playbook. This is my passion. I've been all about goal setting. I'm a 12-week year guy, but I've always had annual reviews. I always put something out on this channel for goal setting, annually, and kind of refer back to it throughout the year. So if you like what you hear, definitely subscribe to the channel. If you're a new agent, a seasoned agent, I strive to put out content, bring other agents on that are killing it to help you build your business. So let's get into my strategy. And this year, I am actually tearing it down to the studs, right? We are literally redefining our core values, making sure that everything is in alignment. And a lot of this comes because I have two businesses now. I have real estate production, I have agent attraction, I have an organization that's growing that I absolutely love pouring into and helping agents succeed and meet their goals. And then I have production that I'm absolutely still doing. I'm still an Icon agent, hope to be a three-time Icon agent here in the coming months at EXP. And that's just what I do. So I have two separate businesses and I need to really dial it in. But the real change for me came when I started, looking at how I want to be. How do I want to live this life, right? I've recently had some kind of people on my periphery, people I've known from my past, and literally 3 people that were kind of on the outside, currently, but had really close relationships with in the past pass away, and the meaning to life and all of that stuff started to creep in almost at a perfect time for this, business planning, goal setting season. Not to say that people passing away at it happens ever at a perfect time, but it made me realize it was almost like a sign to me that said, hey, I appreciate that you're crushing it and you're successful and you're on magazines, you get trophies, whatever, but it's time to really focus in on what matters. And so, outside of my core values, I really bought into the core 4, right? I'm sure you've seen it. It's, I do the 4 B's, body, balance, business, and being, which is mindset. There's 4 M's and 4 F's and all of that stuff, but that's what I want to do. And so I'm really breaking it down, and I'm going to set 4 goals that are obtainable in each of these core 4, and hopefully strive to get closer and closer to them on a task by task, day by day, week by week, month by month, quarter by quarter, and eventually an annual basis. And so that's really what I'm breaking it down. Now, I'm just going to relate this episode to the business side of it. Essentially, what I'm going to do is ask myself these same questions and go through these same processes in order to get to where I need to get to for all 4 parts of that, relating to my new core values, which the core values that are up on the wall, that are up for final review in a couple days here: gratitude, competence, time, self-discipline, perseverance, excellence, and loyalty. And so we'll see if those, make it through. But as you can see, I'm really tearing it down. Everything that I, do, every decision I make, those core values, my final core values that I decide on, are going to be at the forefront. And I'm going to break it down and break my goals down and break my missions down into these core 4s: body, being, balance, and business. And so that's kind of the basis of it. And so first and foremost, we're going to scroll just to business now. I want you to ask yourself these questions. And if we're asking ourselves these questions, we can kind of start. And a lot of times we say, 2023 was terrible, right? It's time for 2023, hate speech to come out, and everyone's like, I'm glad it's over, whatever, as if, the clock turning from 11:59 on December 31st to 12 a.m. on January 1st completely, resets. Granted, if you need that, that's great. If that's your mindset, that's okay. But ultimately, we're in a pretty serious continuum here that the calendar only guides us. It doesn't define us. And so we're going to ask ourselves these questions based on 2023, right? What areas were you successful in 2023? So what are we doing well, right? Did we have a good production year? Did we have, a couple past clients refer me business? Did we get that education level or get that certification? Or did we purchase, the Social Agent Academy and really dial in a YouTube strategy or whatever that may be? What did we do well in our business, solely focused on our business in 2023? List everything out, right? And then I want to talk about what areas were we not successful, right? For instance, like I tried to launch a Gen Wealth REI where we were going to really drive referral business to, smaller towns where real estate was more affordable. That's still going to come. But what I did there was I created a funnel and created an idea, but didn't really create follow-up strategies, didn't really have, all my ducks in a row. So it didn't launch like I thought it would and where I would be now. So what were the reasons that didn't work out? Was it, well, you didn't delegate enough, you didn't, do XYZ? Really dive into what was not successful and note it, right? After we have that, let's go to what areas are now relevant in your business that weren't prior, right? Are you looking to expand into some other piece? Do you have a little bit of extra funds to create a gifting program? Do you have, some funds set aside to launch that client event because you have enough people to invite now, or, whatever thing? So what wasn't relevant, but is now relevant as we turn the page into 2024? And then I want you to kind of pull yourself back and say, okay, what specific behaviors can I not do, right? So it's not, I want to do this, I want to do that. How do you not reach your goals? What is standing in your way from you reaching your goals, right? And this is a general list because we're in step 1, but stuff like if I'm not consistent, I won't reach my goals. If I'm not learning every day, I'm not going to reach my goals. If I'm not networking with, industry professionals because I get, imposter syndrome, whatever that may be. And so list all the things that you're not. And then I just want you to cross out the word not. So I literally have not be consistent, not learn from people that have done what I want to do, not get out of my comfort zone and record a video, not measure my analytics and my conversion rate, not, dig into my CRM and understand. And so literally cross out the word not. And now you know what you have to do in order to achieve all of these goals within your business. And so that leads us to step 2. I want you to start brainstorming your goals. Easily obtainable goals that you would have to meet that leave you the exact same lifestyle, right? To make the same amount of money you did last year, write down these goals. Okay, so you're going to list out, as many as you can. We're eventually going to narrow them down to 4. I would brainstorm. So when I brainstorm, I just go write as much as I can. And then I chop and change and combine and do all the things. And hopefully we can get to 4 goals that are measurable. You can do the SMART goal thing. You can do whatever you want to do, but break it down into 4 measurable goals that you have. And once you have that, I want you to take those goals that, remember, we're just saying to make the same amount, have the same lifestyle. And I want you to change those goals. Now I want you to make them seem a bit unattainable. Something that's kind of pie in the sky, something that maybe it's 1.5 times the amount you wrote down, or something that, like, if you obtained, a certain number of closings, or if you created 1 client funnel and now you created 2, what that would do for your income and for your business. And so take those, 1.5 or 2 times those goals to make them seem a little bit unattainable. And those are actually going to be our goals, and those are going to be our metrics. And you say, well, now we're setting unattainable goals and all of that. The problem is most people stop here, right? So if you're most people, just like and subscribe and get out of here. But if you want to actually crush your goals and you're still listening to me and you didn't just do what I told you to do, definitely go on to next one, right? And what we have to do is we have these big pie in the sky goals now because we've set them, right? We've talked a little bit about the foundation, where we're at, our starting point. Now we have these big goals. Now what we're going to do is really dive into the path to get there. And this is the most important part and the hardest part, because people, and the whole basis of the 12-week year, great book. If you haven't read it, read it. I still set annual goals, as I'm telling you right now, but the 12-week year really gave me the idea and the mindset to really make a path to get to those, kind of unobtainable goals. So now for step 3, we're gonna create a path to success, right? So for instance, if my goal was to close 5 transactions from direct native YouTube leads, and I had never recorded a video, my steps might include, right? First, I'm going to study YouTube and the algorithm and how to, post on YouTube and how to use the platform and all of those things. Social Agent Academy, that is offered for absolutely free if you join my group. Also available for purchase would be my first step if I was doing this. And so I'm going to say, I'm going to, go through the Social Agent Academy. I'm going to dial that in, right? And then I'm just going to start practicing some video, right? And I always tell people, just go live. That's how I practice video. That's how I got good at video. That's how I got there. Most people don't do that because they're scared, but we're going to practice getting on camera. We're going to send it to our, wife, to our, business partner, to whoever, and make sure they look at it and, go from there. Give you any feedback you might have, and just understand that you're going to suck at it, right? So maybe that's step 1. Step 2 might be, okay, we're going to actually start posting videos. Okay. And we're going to do it consistently. We're going to do 2 videos a week because I think that's what it's going to take to close 5 transactions. Because clearly education and practice is not going to get you out on YouTube and get you clients. So now we need to post and we need to get consistent. Maybe we need to, drive traffic and all of that. And then step 3 maybe is I'm going to have a follow-up system, right? Maybe in step 2, you're posting and whatever, you kind of have that reactionary follow-up system, which is fine, right? You're not going to get a ton of leads at one time. So maybe you're, practicing chop and changing. By step 3, we're going to have a dialed in follow-up system. We're going to make sure we're reviewing our analytics. We're going to get better on video. So we're going to look and watch our own videos and do that. And then step 4 is to, have a system and process, be completely consistent, and be producing videos and turning clients each and every, month or quarter or whatever that may be. And hopefully within that process, you're finding a way to get to, 5 clients. And real estate's a little bit funny because once we get the client, there is a time, to close. And so hopefully within, between step 2 and 3, you start to see some, subtle, attention and engagement and all of that. But if not, you need to, check your analytics and change the way you're presenting information and so on. So that's that's kind of that. Well, now we have a 4-step process and we have 4 quarters in the year, so we can step back and say, okay, these are my goals. And at this time, now we have these goals, right? We have quarter 1 goal, which was, I think, educate myself on, YouTube and the platform and practice getting on video. So now I'm going to say, okay, well, what's the process to get it done? What are maybe some goals? And my sponsor and mentor and business partner, Louis, talks about dominoes, right? So what domino has to fall in order to get to the next step, right? Well, we need to at least have the education and understand the YouTube platform. So that's probably domino 1. Let's get through that, right? Well, there's, probably 50 videos. So maybe that's, whatever, week 1, we're doing this and getting through that. In 10 days, we're going to be through the Social Agent Academy. We're going to start practicing, right? We're going to start trying to form titles and descriptions and videos and all of that stuff. And we're practicing. And maybe even in the practice, we're creating content that we will actually post when we, kind of launch into this. So we're getting to that. And we take those dominoes, that's this, then this, then this, and then we create our daily list, right? A checklist. I subscribe to the Power 5 with Andy Frisella. If you need that, check him out. Just Google Andy Frisella's Power 5 or Win the Day. And you can go into it. But I essentially have 5 needle moving tasks. And now remember, we have 4 sections and 4 goals for each. So in those tasks, those 5 tasks a day, maybe one of them is going to be, based on this YouTube or video content kind of goal or whatever. And one's going to be, about your body and your balance and your being. All of those things should be covered within those Power 5. But we have to have the goals annually broken down in a quarter. Then maybe we create a step process, a workflow that's going to get us there. And then we have our daily tasks that move it. And we're constantly reviewing this. We're looking at it. We're seeing our progress, and we're going from there. So as you can see here, it's more than just that big pie in the sky goal. It's building an entire strategy in between. And that path is absolutely something that you need to focus on. Now, here's my gift to you. There's a Realtor game plan call below. If you are this dialed in and you're ready to set your goals and you want a little of assistance, please book a call with me. I would be happy to assist you. I don't care what brokerage you're at. I don't care any of that. I would be happy to connect with you and kind of coach you through, maybe give you a little accountability as we set goals, because I want you to have the absolutely best 2024 or whatever year you're watching this, right? That link will still always be there. So let's absolutely crush the next year and get going. And there's no rule that says if you're a brand new agent that you can't set goals on June 15th. So understand that as well. We just talk a lot about goal setting in December. So that's why my light's green and we're celebrating Christmas. But other than that, hope this helped. Please like, comment, subscribe. I look forward to having a chat with you in a Realtor game plan call. If you're interested in partnering or anything else, there's also a link below for that. And more information about surrounding yourself with absolutely next level people, because that's really what it's all about with the core 4 and moving forward. So I hope this helps. We'll talk to you soon.